The opinions expressed by the host and guest on this program are solely their own and do not represent the views or opinions of Blind United. We strive to provide diverse perspectives and discussions on our platform, but the opinions expressed should be understood as personal viewpoints and not reflective of Blind United as an organization.
It's time. It's time for
coffee time.
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 And here is your coffee time crew.
Well, good morning, everybody. As always, welcome back to Coffee Time with Blind United. And it is TGIF, y'all. So happy Friday. Hope everybody got a good weekend ahead of you. Of course, everybody should know by now we got a party jumping off tomorrow. So, again, if you'd like to come hang out with us, you still got an opportunity. info@blindunited.org, or you can just zero your money to blindunited2022@gmail.com. So, anyway, just me and Pedro again. We're here all week making it happen. So, good morning, my brother.
Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? How you doing there on this TGIF?
Just looking at everything I got on my agenda for today, getting ready for tomorrow. That's all.
All right.
and these two interest groups we got today. So,
what we got today?
Well, today we got the getting the most out of DOR. I mean, everything you want to know about DOR, questions, whatever you might have. Maybe your counselor, whatever, is just not, you're not connecting and whatever, and
how to approach them, and
how to approach them to get the stuff you want. You know what I'm saying? All that different kind of stuff. So
and he's
again,
very, very knowledgeable. He's part of our community as well.
And he's a DOR counselor. So I mean, again, it's not like he don't know the rules, So he can definitely help a lot of people, work around an uncooperative counselor or whatever. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things with DOR. The main issue is you just have to justify the need, and then he can kind of explain to you what that means. Show you how to justify certain things. So. Again, he's really, really been a great help to us. Again, he was one of my brothers from back when I went through DPI, and we got our training together, and he left there and went straight back to college, had to change his careers, and man, did at least 6 years, 7 years of college, whatever. But bottom line, he ended up being a DOR counselor, and now he's doing everything he can from within to try to help the community, So come on out, check him out. That's at 2:00 today, p.m. And then later on tonight is our regular movie night, descriptive movie night. And tonight we will be showing Gran Torino. For those that haven't seen it, that's a Clint Eastwood movie. One of the rare movies where he's not a Western, right? But no, it's a really great movie. It kind of goes along the same theme as last week's movie. What was that? A Man Called Otto. So again, kind of same kind of theme movie, but two different characters, two star characters. The other one being Tom Hanks, this one being Clint Eastwood, but. Really, really good movies, So anyway, come check that out at 6:00. Make sure you got all your snacks and beverages and whatever you need to enjoy a good descriptive movie. So, but anyway, moving forward, this is again Friday. It is the eve of our 90s throwback party, so I just thought it would be appropriate to do a 90s theme interest group. I'm sorry, not interest group, but coffee time today. So first up on our list of articles is the music of the 90s. So check this out, and we'll talk about our favorite genre on the other side.
Hey Blind United crew, dust off your Discman and let's pour a cup of something that's anything but DCAF, because today we're taking a trip back to the 1990s. As we get ready for the big 90s party tomorrow, we're kicking things off by exploring the incredible, eclectic, and game-changing music scene that defined the decade. It was a time of sonic revolution, where genres collided and new voices emerged to create a soundtrack that many of us still have on repeat today. The decade began with a roar of distorted guitar and unfiltered angst from the Pacific Northwest. The grunge movement, led by bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden, swapped the glamour of the 80s for raw authenticity. This Seattle-born sound captured a generation's mood with its quiet, loud dynamics and introspective lyrics, completely reshaping the rock landscape. As the 90s progressed, however, the pendulum swung toward polished production and pop perfection. The latter half of the decade was ruled by the powerful vocals of divas like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston, the smooth harmonies of R&B groups like Boyz II Men and TLC, and the explosive popularity of boy bands and girl groups like the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and the Spice Girls, whose catchy hooks became a global phenomenon. Simultaneously, hip-hop was experiencing a golden age of creativity and influence. The genre expanded in every direction, from the socially conscious and jazz-infused sounds of A Tribe Called Quest to the birth of the G-Funk style pioneered by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg on the West Coast. The decade was also defined by the lyrical genius and legendary rivalry of Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G., whose storytelling elevated the art form and left an indelible mark on music history. Their influence pushed hip-hop from the margins to the very center of popular culture. The 90s also gave us a thriving alternative scene that was too diverse to be boxed in, with pop-punk bands like Green Day and Blink. 182 bringing infectious energy to the mainstream, and ska-influenced groups like No Doubt creating a unique fusion of sounds. It was a time when radio airplay and music video premieres on MTV could make or break an artist, and music festivals like Lollapalooza became cultural rites of passage. The decade was a true melting pot of sound that set the stage for the next 20 years of music. What was the one song or music video from the 90s that you will never forget? We'd love to hear your memories in the comments. Now back to the Coffee Time crew for their thoughts.
Well, I mean, again, 90s is, man, the 90s was a very influential decade, in our history. I mean, from all aspects, But music, I mean, again, of course, I'm a bit older, so, my music is more 70s, 80s. But again, there was a lot of stuff in the 90s. I'm not a big hip hop person, but, Biggie and Snoop and Tupac, of course, they were cool, I'm not gonna say I was into every one they did. I'm not even gonna say I can sit here and uh, uh, you know do my thing with it. I mean, well, I noticed one thing, one group they didn't mention, what was that, NWA? I mean,
89.
they were 89. Well, but again, they progressed even into the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you know,
Yes, yes, they didn't mention Bone Thugs, but let's start from the beginning. Nirvana, iconic, uh, 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 Monica's nephew. Man, he's into Nirvana as well as Metallica, but that's earlier. But Nirvana was a stepping stone within the 90s, popular band. Green Day, Blink 182 as well. They have popular songs,
right,
Then we have other bands. We had like even in the metal like Corn. I was listening to Corn as well. They had some cool ones. In that genre. They have other alternative. What was not rock but alternative. They had a few right there. A lot of popular some bands like that grunge sound that was really popular, like the Nirvana sound and all that. They gave us great music to kind of guess rock out to. Now the pop, like the groups and the boy bands, they were all over. They were popular. The ladies, the young ladies, they loved those, like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, and then the Spice Girls. They started having like a world tour as well. So they were popular. They were popping, because it's pop culture right there.
right.
Then hip hop. Then we got hip hop. Hip hop. a lot of different movements. Yeah, we had the Tupac and Biggie stuff, but we also had like um that sound, that harmony sounds from Bone Thugs and Harmony. That was a new type of rap, you know.
Right.
They came out with some cool songs, you know, him and Easy E
Most
with the
deaf.
Ruthless Records, Most Def, you know, some Mob Deep, you know, even some Jada Kiss from the East Coast, you know. We have Wu Tang and things like that. Man, it's like it expanded so much, you know, so much variety started at the 90s of hip hop, you know. We had the Midwest, you know, as well, you know, not popular at first, but you know, hip hop was in the scene, was, you know, I remember watching MTV, the music, you know, music videos, it'd be on all day. We have it in the background just playing all day, you know.
Mm. Don't forget Donnie Simpson and Video Soul on BET.
Hey, yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
The
videos was a
box.
big
Remember the
thing then.
box?
The Who?
The box. It used to be called the box, and it was like
Nah.
music videos, just music videos.
No, I mean, again, the main one I used to watch, I'm being honest, was, Video Soul. But, I remember when MTV first came out, now MTV don't even show videos anymore. So, but, again,
Hmm.
you had several during that decade, you had several different platforms where it was all about videos. I mean, you couldn't even release a song without releasing a video to go with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just the way they did it in the '90s. So
Well,
but
because of the media content able to stream, and this is before the cell phone and videos, but this is the pre that. This is was like the, I guess you could call it the short of the 90s. You got your TV shows and movies, but this was like your short, you
right.
know, for the artists to get their stuff out. Because right now some artists are popping off on TikTok and they make a TikTok video to go with their song, and then like a dance as well, something they learned in the 2000s by Soldier Boy, but that's another era. But they use a thing they use in the 90s. They had to drop something like that, and TikTok is making new artists happen as well. There's a strategy behind that. Like there's was a strategy with the visuals in the video and the visuals from now that what they're trying to do on TikTok.
Wasn't iTunes also born in the '90s?
No.
Okay.
iTunes was like 2000, like the
Okay. Well,
upper half of 2000
so that was
something.
more of the Napster thing and stuff like that, where you could go and download. If other people had it, you could download it from
Yeah,
them.
something like that. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
like 2000 right there, 2001 or something.
You know,
But
I mean,
yes,
again,
we had AOL. We have the famous AOL, the Yahoo, who didn't have like a Yahoo Mail. But this is like the wild wild west of the beginning buildings of the internet.
matter of fact, wasn't even
Netscape.
also.
Remember Netscape?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wasn't also we're gonna talk about that later because that's another topic.
Okay.
But there's also wasn't house music born during the '90s where you had just that continuous beat, the dump, the dump, the dump, the dump, the dump, the dump. Just
Oh, the two step.
well, whatever. I
Yeah,
just
but yeah, it's deep. Yeah, it's deep house. That was popular too. Deep house.
my kids used to drive me crazy with that stuff, man. I mean, man, it just seemed like it'd be playing for hours, the same beat. I mean, come on, man. Let's.
Well, the instrumentation and vocals are different. A lot of them use that 1 2, and that the same type of drum beat, and that's probably what you were hearing most of the time. But yeah,
But
yeah, that was born. That was dope. Popular shows were out there, but in the music realm, man, Biggie, when Biggie and the Tupac deaths happened, you know, man, and then Easy E as well. Man, it hit a lot of people because a lot of people were fans. Iconics. Where would they be right now? like Tupac and Biggie right now. Like if
Well, not
they
only
were.
that, another one you left out of there. I mean, look at Q. Look at what he did once he left NWA in the '90s when he really exploded. So
Yeah. And Aaliyah was 90s, right?
I mean, again, I think she was. I mean, Aaliyah. I think didn't Alicia Keys come out in the late '90s, and
Hmm.
of course, like you said, we had Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Janet Jackson. I think even wasn't Mariah Carey, not Mariah Carey, but Madonna was still bumping around in the '90s as well, I believe. She was kind of had already made her name and wasn't putting out as much music as she used to, but she was still popular in the '90s.
Yeah, yeah. Mariah. Oh man, she was popping. You know.
So, but again, that music, man. I mean, music is just something that we all connect to. Even though it might be different genres, and especially more so in today's world, you got a lot more music out there that crosses over different genres, and
They left
people,
out Linkin Park. That was like a rap rock kind of crossover band, kind of.
yeah.
You know.
Well, you also had, some of the pop artists with, kind of fusing a little bit of rap into their stuff.
Yeah, yeah. We had Cube and the band Corn. They made a song together, pretty dope. I have it in my library. You know what I mean? So we have crossovers. In the '90s also. Easy E introduced Latino rap, introduced Latino groups. Actually put them on the map. Try to give them a handout in the music scene.
Right.
It was popularized,
And
and
who was that? The first one was what, the Beastie Boys or something like that?
no, he introduced Brown Side. Beastie Boys are white. They were
Oh,
more on
okay.
the East Coast. They were over there in the East Coast, you
Okay.
know. So he did introduce Latinos and stuff like that, the Hispanic culture and what they were doing. So you know what I mean? That's the '90s. '90s was a crazy decade. On the music scene, a lot happened, a lot of things happened, and a lot of new genres as well exploded, new artists as well, new sound.
Uh,
Internet was getting popularized. It was coming to the homes.
right. All of that. So, but yeah, I mean, again, music is, and then when we look at today's world, I mean, I guess '90s was also an era where they actually started doing, where you had to have well, that started again with, especially NWA, where you had to have the ratings on it, you know what I'm saying? PG and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, I know it was in the '90s where they started doing, a radio version and a home version. You know what I'm saying? An uncut version. You
And
know,
explicit.
yeah, okay, whatever you want to call it. But again, one for the play on the radio and one play at the party. You
Yep, I'm
know,
looking for explicit content.
well, everybody want to have the original version. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
but I have a bug, and this is just a sideline note. I have a bug that I have music with all the cuss words and all that, and somehow Apple always replaces them with the clean one, and sometimes takes out the bad word, and then I don't like how it sounds like it skips.
Well, I hear you. Well, but
Yeah,
again, because and
Apple fix
again,
that.
I guess that's one of their things. I guess I don't know, but I'd rather have, like you say, the explicit, uncut version, whatever. There wasn't a whole lot of that going on before the '90s. You know what I'm saying? There was a few different party versions, radio version, party version, whatever that they used to call it, whatever. You had the extended tracks where it might be the whole side of one album on certain songs. Like I look when Rapper's Delight came out, man, that damn thing was the whole one side of the album. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So, but again, '90s music has always kind of shaped our thing. What I'm worried about nowadays is with all of these folks out here want to censor everything. like they're doing with TV and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, who knows? We might not be able to get that kind of music anymore, in the very near future. People are going to be scared to produce any kind of that, any type of explicit type music or whatever, So, and that's a shame because some of it's really, really good, So, but anyway, so that pretty much covers the music side of the 90s. So we're going to run a couple promos and then we'll be back. Well, I might as well just throw it out there. The next one's going to be about 90s fashion. So hit me with them promos, Pedro, and we'll get started on the next article.
If you'd like to know more about Blind United, you can visit our website at blindunited.org. You can email us at info@blindunited.org. You can call us at 909-846-8825. You can follow us on Instagram at Blind United Interest Groups. You can follow us on X at Blind United 22. You can watch our YouTube channel, Blind United. You could join our Facebook group, Blind United Interest Groups, or you can follow our Facebook page, Blind United. Did you know that people in third world countries do not have access to canes? The You Cane Give initiative gives canes to people all over the world who cannot get canes. The You Cane Give initiative not only goes to these countries and gives people canes, but they give people canes and a digital recorder that is solar powered that has instructions on how to use the cane and instructions on how to repair the cane. The You Cane Give initiative is a very worthy cause, giving canes to blind people all over the world. If you have a cane that you're no longer using, or a cane that's broken or bent, you can go to youcanegive.org and get a shipping label, and you can ship your cane to Jimmy in Tennessee, and he will refurbish it and give your cane to a blind person in a third world country. That website again is youcanegive.org.
Well, as always, we support Jimmy and everything he does to the point to where, don't worry about sending him one cane. Just show up at one of our events, Blind United event, and bring that cane with you to the event. And we do this at all of our events where you can be entered into a drawing. So each cane that you bring, you'll get a raffle ticket for a prize. So, hey, come on out, support a good, very, very, very good cause like we do. And man, trust and believe, there's people in third world countries that really, really appreciate you. So just as we will as well. So Tisha says, the 90s rule, hey. So, 90s was, again, great era, I myself personally had kind of shift gears at that point, raising a family and all that kind of stuff, regrouping after my accident and losing my sight and all that kind of stuff. So there was a lot going on for me as well in the 90s. But another big influence in the 90s was our fashion. So let's run this article and we'll talk about the fashion.
Hey, Blind United crew, let's grab our next cup. If the 90s were a closet, it would be a sprawling walk-in with some questionable choices we might not want to admit to, and some timeless classics we still secretly love. After diving into the music, it's time to look at the fashion that accompanied it, a story of rebellion, excess, and surprising simplicity, all happening at the same time. The decade began as a direct rejection of the slick, over-the-top glamour of the 1980s. The grunge movement wasn't just a sound, it was an anti-fashion statement. Think of the Seattle look that went global. Oversized flannel shirts worn open over a vintage band tee, ripped and baggy jeans, and heavy combat boots like Doc Martens. It was a comfortable, unkempt, and unisex aesthetic that screamed indifference. It was less about what you wore and more about the attitude you wore it with, a thrift store chic that prioritized comfort and authenticity over designer labels. At the same time, hip-hop culture was having a massive influence on mainstream style. This look was all about being bold, bright, and confident. It featured oversized silhouettes, from baggy denim by brands like Gerbod and Tommy Hilfiger to sports jerseys from favorite basketball and football teams. Bright, vibrant colors were everywhere, thanks to pioneering brands like Cross Colors and Karl Kani. The look was often completed with a pair of crisp Timberland boots or fresh sneakers, a starter jacket, and a bold logo, cementing sportswear's place as high fashion. But the 90s wasn't all grunge and hip-hop. A polished, preppy look also had its moment, famously immortalized in the movie Clueless. This style featured plaid skirt sets, knee-high socks, fitted sweaters, and baby doll dresses. On the pop music scene, artists like the Spice Girls popularized chunky platform sneakers, crop tops, and anything glittery. And yet, moving in complete opposition to all this loudness was the rise of 90s minimalism. Driven by designers like Calvin Klein, this was a sophisticated and androgynous style defined by simple slip dresses, neutral colors like black, white, and gray, and a focus on clean, uncomplicated lines. Of course, no look was complete without the right accessories. The 90s gave us a treasure trove of memorable extras: choker necklaces, bucket hats, mood rings, slap bracelets, and tiny backpacks that could barely hold more than a tube of lip gloss. From baggy jeans and flannel to preppy plaids and platform shoes, 90s fashion was a wonderfully chaotic and diverse ride. What was your favorite, or perhaps most regrettable, fashion trend from the 90s? We'd love to hear about it in the comments. Now back to the Coffee Time crew for their thoughts.
Well, again, I mean, the 90s is, I was more conservative then than I was, in other eras, decades. Again, me being a little bit older, I've had a lot of fashion choices that man, what was I thinking? But uh, again, it was a fashion, it was a style. That's what we did in those eras. One of the things I remember from the '90s that I still wear today. I matter of fact, I got a pair on right now. Is cargo shorts, cargo pants, with all the pockets and all that stuff. That kind of stuff was born, and during that era. Uh, T-shirts were actually, like you say, logo T-shirts and stuff like that were, became really, really popular. As well as like we're talking about the jerseys and stuff like that. And one thing they didn't mention was, all the various styles of hat, but one thing they were snapback. You know what I'm saying? That was a big thing. Everybody had their caps they wore. Some of them had small bills on them, some had big bills on them. Some of them, were form fitted, and some were just kind of floppy. So again, it was a different kind of era for fashion, man. I mean, the ladies they started doing some really really special stuff in the '90s, and then something else that wasn't messing even earlier. Uh, Boom boxes. People played their music on boom boxes, walking around with that big old ghetto blaster hanging on their shoulder. All that kind of stuff. So again, that was part of your fashion as well. Some folks thought that was an accessory. If you didn't have your boom box with you, you was out of style. So, but yeah, no, I mean, fashion again, the tennis shoes, Nikes, Jordans, and Reeboks and K Swiss, just all different styles of tennis shoes that it came out during that era. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and it carries on today. I mean, it's hard to believe they got brand new Jordans are selling, $4, $5, $6, $700. You know what I'm saying? Collectors, limited edition this and all that kind of stuff. But it's still part of our fashion for today. So, what was your favorite fashion attire during the '90s, Pedro?
Well, let's start with the boombox. Hey, that was dope. Hey, bumping, but look, it has changed. Who doesn't carry a Bluetooth speaker? There's so many people carry a Bluetooth speaker. It might not carry it on their shoulder now. It is still there. That's the modern boombox right there,
Oh, I
or the
hear
ghetto
you.
blaster. But you can see the correlations about the technology, how it advanced, and how what we used to do in the '90s as kind of new. Now it's kind of like modernized, and you know what I mean. You even got wireless Bluetooth speakers you could put around your backyard, and you know what I mean, and bump and stuff. Like it's nice technology now. But
Well, well, not
so,
only that, I
mhm.
don't know. I'll throw this out just because we're trying to help him out as well. Jimmy, you can't give right. He's got another website. Well, the same website, but it's called customcane.com. And you can buy a Bluetooth speaker that you can attach to your cane. So you can just be walking down the street with your cane bumping. You
Bam.
know what
That's
I'm
how far we came. You could put a ghetto blaster on your cane, like Ed calls it.
saying?
But yes, so fashion was something else. We had the chucks with the fat laces and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Um, baggy jeans was in when I was in. They had the not the hats, but the visors and stuff. I used to have like different color visors, different color hats.
Yeah. Right.
Like two color shirts, t-shirts of everything. That's the time when I was like. So I had
Right.
all kinds. I had K Swisses, Chucks. I had all kinds of stuff. Rockaware, Nautica, starter jackets for sure. I had a gang of those. You know, um, the '90s was fun for me. I'm in the like that's the decade I grew up in. I was a teenager and stuff like that. I was still.
What about a members only jacket, Pedro? Do you have a members only jacket?
No, I don't know. No.
Yeah. Well, we had members only jackets, and they were. Of course, you could get them in whatever color, right? But the thing is it's taking to have your name embroidered on them, like
Okay.
a name
Okay.
tag. So that was a style. And
Oh, we had tattoos.
well, I mean, we had
I get
tattoos too, but we're
I'm-
talking about fashion, man. you know.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
no, I mean, and again, '90s was a lot of fun.
Hey, tattoos are fashion statements now.
Well, yeah, yeah. It wasn't not so much then. It was still, it was coming out of its taboo kind of thing in the '90s.
Well, yeah, pop culture, yeah, and the mainstream made it look all they're 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 criminals. So, like, you know what I mean? It's just the way
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was, you know?
That used to be the stigmatism that went with
Yes.
it. But now it is a fashion thing. I mean, a lot of people tatted up, got sleeves and everything. I mean, my kids got tattoos. I got one daughter, she got a whole sleeve, right arm is all a sleeve. I actually think it's very beautiful, man. It's a cherry blossom branch, and she has herself and her sisters, as owls, right, sitting on the branches. And each owl has something about the owl that, uh, uh, you know, how can I say, distinguishes one from the other as far as what the sisters were. Like Loretta, she wore glasses, so hers had glasses on, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's really, really beautiful the way she's got it laid out. So tattoos are a big, big, big thing now, but that was an era when it was starting to become, less stigmatized and more fashion conscious. So, again, '90s was each era really, changes, something changes, you know what I'm saying? And '90s it was really a good one. I mean, I enjoyed the '90s. Man, I mean, again, I'm new to blindness at that time. So I was regrouping. I was more concentrated on my kids and stuff like that than I was myself. But again, it was fashion's always been, one of them things. But it's also been one of them things I really never even got into fashion. I wasn't into, labels and stuff like that. I was more of a simple guy, you know, especially in the '90s. Like I said, because I'm more okay. Well, I got to go buy all this stuff for my kids. I don't have a lot of money to spend on fashion for myself. You know what I'm saying? So, but I kept my skiers all sporty, and they all had all they, baby this, baby that, and they were all stylish. They had all the latest '90s toys, That's one we didn't talk about. I guess that would be in there as well. I don't know. What is that? The Chucky doll. I don't know. You remember the Chucky doll, Pedro?
Man, I remember the Steve Urkel doll.
The Steve Urkel doll, and then you had the Teddy Ruxpin, and
People were
uh, uh,
scared of the Steve Urkel doll. I know somebody that was scared. I know a couple kids, and oh my god, it was oh my god. But yes, yeah, I remember those. What about the Pogs?
all of that, all of
I
that.
used to, man, I used to run up and get people with my slammer, boom, boom, taking Pogs. I used to have a. It's funny now that we have this big cylinder we used to put the Pogs in. It looks like the containers for the broccoli now, like the big ones. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah, I remember Pogs, Tamagotchi, that's some other stuff. You know, so they have different. I remember different things too. Pokemon. I guess it came out in the 90s.
so Monica says, did she asked the question of you and I, did we wear our pants backwards like crisscross?
Whoa, I don't crisscross. I don't do that type of thing. I never heard of them people. And I don't know. I thought that's the 90s.
No, I didn't do the crisscross thing, Monica. I didn't wear my pants backwards.
Mm-mm.
I didn't even do the thing where I remember some of the dudes in the hood. They used to take their belt and have the buckle all the way on the other side on their hip rather than in front of them and stuff like that. It never made any sense to me, but
I didn't do all that, man. I had the belt buckle with the letters and all that stuff.
well, I hear you. I mean, but again, it was a style,
Hmm.
around where I was at, whatever, but it is what it is,
Hmm.
you know. So I'm just looking at the comments, but anyway, no, that was it,
But
Monica.
yeah, fashion, was a lot right there. What baggy, and then the preppy look. Remember the preppy girl, the like what they talk about the clueless and all that stuff.
Right, right,
That was
right.
another look. I think no doubt was like a big pop hit, like culture right there, man. And man, I remember it coming out in the 90s shows like King of the Hill. Who remembers King of the Hill? Drop a comment, hit a like if you remember King of the Hill. And King of the Hill actually too has a comeback coming on Hulu. So if you were into King of the Hill in the 90s, they got it on Hulu coming out. So just imagine, man, Boomhauer,
I
Hank,
guess you
and all
can
that.
say I did some of the preppy stuff in the '90s, like the Dockers and polo shirts and stuff
Oh yeah,
like
that's the
that.
preppy stuff. Yeah.
You
Okay,
know,
man. Okay, we see you.
So I mean, I get into some stuff like that. The tennis shorts. Stuff like that. Like I ever played tennis.
What about the
Yeah.
golf hats?
Well, of course, I wore the golf hats. I mean, that's always been
I wore
kind
the
of a,
golf hats too.
that's kind of always been a fashion statement in the hood. Wearing the golf hats and corduroy and whatever different types of golf hats, as long as it had the golf clubs and the golf ball is up in the front. Hey, that was a golf hat. So hey, we had a lot of fun. Something else you didn't mention: a lot of people used to wear the captain's hat.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
A lot of dudes that drove the big Cadillacs, they wore the captain's hat like they was captain of their ship, being their Cadillac. You know what I'm saying? The big old four-door sedan DeVille's and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fleetwoods and all that stuff. So, but anyway, I mean, yeah, fashion was something else, man. It was and it's still changing. I mean, I remember in more recent years, I remember what was it in the early 2000 when it had to be the early 2000 when people started wearing pajamas outside. Wait a minute, hold on, what are you doing at the mall with pajamas on? That don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? But hey, fashion is what it is. So Anyway, we at the end of this segment as well. We got one more segment for you, and this probably be one of Pedro's favorite ones because this one's about technology. So we're gonna hit these promos, and then we'll jump into 90s tech. Did you know Blind United offers free training in assistive technology? We call them interest groups. We offer training in JAWS, NVDA, iPhone, iPad, as well as Meta Ray-Bans. We also have groups like support group, cooking groups, and crafting groups. There are also groups for entertainment like movie night and RS game night. For more information about all the interest groups that we offer, just email us at info@blindunited.org or visit our Facebook group, Blind United Interest Group. We would love to have you be part of the Blind United crew.
Yo, coffee time crew, it's about to get live. Blind United's throwing it back. 1995. On July 26th, the place to be. From 1 to 6, the party with we. Just 20 to 5, that's all you pay. To vibe with the drive, the 90s way. Tootsie Roll, Running Man, and the Roger Rabbit. Biggie on the track, and we gotta have it. Stone Cold, The Rock, bringing all the hype. Snapbacks, cross colors, the 90s type. So call your crew and step through the door. Blind United's 90 jam, can't ignore. Saturday the 26th, it's going down. Where the love is loud and the beats are down.
Well, again, hey, if you want to come hang out with us tomorrow at our 90s throwback party, we still got a few seats available, so reach out to us, info@blindunited.org if you need to make other payment arrangements. But if you do have Zelle, the best way to do it is just Zelle your money to blindunited2022@gmail.com, and that'll reserve your spot and get you in and get you a nice fried chicken dinner and the opportunity to win a whole lot of different prizes. I mean, man, I'm thinking about it now. We got what, 3, 15, 18, 20 different prizes we passing out tomorrow, Pedro. 20 different prizes, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just did a quick count in my head. I mean, yeah, all together, we got 20 different items we're giving away, So, hey, come on out and hang out with us and have some fun. Maybe you be lucky enough to walk away with something. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, so like I said, this last article is all about technology. So, a lot of people don't realize 90 was a game changer for technology. So check this out.
Hey Blind United crew, let's grab our last cup and boot up our memories. If you can still hear the screeching, chaotic symphony of a dial-up modem connecting to the internet, then this topic is for you. We're talking about the wild, clunky, and revolutionary technology of the 1990s. The single biggest story of 90s tech was the dawn of the consumer internet. For many, the journey online began with an AOL free trial CD that came in the mail. We'd tie up the household phone line, listen to that unforgettable dial-up handshake, and hear the 3 magic words, "You've got mail." We surfed the early web with browsers like Netscape Navigator, waiting patiently as images loaded one slow line at a time. It was a text-heavy world of chat rooms, instant messenger, and the first GeoCities pages, but it felt like stepping into the future. Before our lives were fully online, communication was a patchwork of clever gadgets. Pagers and beepers were essential, forcing us to communicate with numeric codes that friends had to decipher. The first consumer cell phones started to appear, but they were a far cry from the smartphones in our pockets today. These were bulky brick phones, like the iconic Motorola, whose primary function was simply to make a call, if you could get a signal. In our living rooms, the VHS tape was still king, with the mantra, "Be kind," rewind, echoing in every video rental store. And on the go, many of us transitioned from the analog hiss of a cassette Walkman to the digital clarity of a portable CD player, or Discman, which brought the constant threat of skipping a song if you dared to walk too fast. The world of computing and gaming also took a massive leap. The launch of Windows 95 was a landmark event, bringing a user-friendly graphical interface with a start button to the masses and making personal computers far less intimidating. In gaming, we moved from the 16-bit console wars between the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis into the thrilling new era of 3D graphics, thanks to groundbreaking consoles like the Sony PlayStation and the Nintendo 64. These machines brought us immersive worlds that were unimaginable just a few years prior. The technology of the 90s was often slow, inconvenient, and sometimes frustrating, but it was the necessary bridge from the analog past to our digital present. It was the awkward but essential adolescence of the modern age. What piece of 90s technology do you remember most fondly, or which one drove you the craziest? We'd love to hear your stories in the comments. Now back to the Coffee Time crew for their thoughts.
Well, again, I do remember that CD. I was thinking about it when she said it, but you know who still has that thing? You've got mail on their computer,
Who?
George.
You could get it as a text tone.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, again, he's got it on his computer, so again, that's his little notification on his computer when he gets mail. You've got mail. That's a throwback to really get you right. But I
Hmm.
mean, myself personally, I wasn't really into computers, during that era or whatever. I mean, maybe in the late '90s, I started bumping around, with I think when I first got on a computer it was more about the, what was it, uh, Windows Millennium or ME, whatever it was. I think that was the first operating system that I remember, but I do remember, that you got mail and stuff. Of course, my kids had the little clunky stuff, and, we had bought them their first home computer, which was a compact computer. But I mean, again, technology was just constantly evolving. I mean, again, I hate to keep throwing my age in there, but I come from an era where, like I said, your phone was still attached to the wall, and you had a big old, if you had enough money, you could order a long cord to where you could walk around the house with the phone. But you know, party line, shit, that party line, that was something where you pick up the phone and want to make a call, and somebody else was already on the phone, and you had to click the button on the cradle to get them to hang up so you can make a call. You know what I'm saying? Anything out of your area code was a toll call and charge you a bunch of other money. You know what I'm saying? So again, this technology has come a long, long way. I mean, again, I've seen the music go from 4 track to, well, from records to 4 track to 8 track to cassette and then CDs. So I remember when all you had was well, I remember when all we had on the radio was an AM radio. I mean, didn't nobody know what FM was? Only rich people had FM radios. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, technology has come a long way. Like I say, that was the bridge we had to cross and to get to where we are now. And, like I say, look at everything we got going on now, man. I mean, I don't know how we survive now. Sometimes it's you wonder how did we survive back in the '70s and '80s without all this technology? But we did. But it just makes life a lot more simplified now. You can do a lot more things a lot easier. Especially with the shopping and stuff. You don't have to go to the mall and walk through every store and all that other kind of stuff. You can just go online and, even if you just still want to go to the store, you can go to the store website and see what they got, before you go to the store. So again, technology is really, really great. So was you as into technology back in the '90s as you are now, Pedro?
Um, yeah, yeah. Man, I started with a cassette player and stuff. Got me a Discman, and then we had the Discman. You had to watch how fast you walk. It's true. And then they had the anti-shock ones.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's second generation.
And yeah, and then I was already chopping up like the headphone cable and making that 3.5 and connecting it to speakers and stuff like that, so my this man could bump, outside in the speaker, and I was already doing I was already doing little side things and stuff. I used to take my little stereo apart. I used to have a stereo, and I used to take it all apart and clean it up, and because things is stuck if it's dirty, and
Right.
and then I remember, the 80s had the 4-bit systems like the NES and stuff like that, and Ataris and stuff like that. But the early 90s brought us the that iconic stuff, the thing that brought it to the next level too. When it comes to the Nintendo 64, we had Super Nintendo a Super Nintendo. Man, so many iconic characters. Mario got a little more a little better looking. We had Mario World. From there we have like Donkey Kong still going to this day. you know we got different fighting games like Street Fighter, and man, so many iconic games, so many iconic characters as well. The 90s had me reading the magazine, the comic books. And the comic books had me seeing the animated series like of Batman in the 90s, of Superman in the 90s. That's what the type of anime they had in the 90s, the early anime of the cartoons, not cartoons, but anime of the comics, brought us
Right.
a Spawn. I remember reading the Image comics from Spawn and stuff like that, and I think we even had a Spawn movie in the 90s. You know, um, and then moving on to the Nintendo 64, that was groundbreaking. What was groundbreaking as well, the PlayStation is optical laser reading lens for the games. That was groundbreaking. We did have CD-ROMs on the computer, but to bring it for I guess a PlayStation you had a little station, two remotes with cables and all that. We didn't have the luxury of hands free. But you know what else the 90 brought us? The style of the see through. You had the see through controllers. You had the see through so you could see the inner chips. That's why you have Ray Bans with the see through glasses too, with the see through frames. You have technology now that they even have like the some of the stuff that comes see through, so you can see the things. One of my friends was showing me a battery pack that is see through, and you can see the inner workings of his battery pack. It has a little fan and all that, but that's
Right.
the style that came out in the 90s. Who remember the controllers that you could lock and repeatedly press a button over and over and over when you was trying to do some of these stuff on these games? I remember some of that, you know, and so
Well, I
many like,
mean, in
mm-hmm.
the late '90s, early 2000, more so in the '90s, though. That's when I was, got into the games that I liked anyway. Like racing games and stuff like that. I wasn't really never into like Mortal Kombat and Street
Ooh,
Fighter and all of that stuff, but I
man.
mean, I love my Gran Turismo. I mean, I used to love what is that? What was that? A Crash Bandicoot?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you said,
Mario
all the
Kart.
yeah Mario. Well, the Mario stuff as well. I mean, I got into Mario with the original, Nintendo. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, 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 yeah.
we had the little itty bitty small square controller, and oh man,
That
my
was
fingers used to be killing me after playing that thing. But I mean, you play that kind of stuff for hours. And I remember one time with the Gran Turismo, I gotten so good at it, I completed the whole game, and you know what? Let me just erase everything that Let me see how long it takes me to actually do it again. Right now, I'm challenging myself. So again, but that was my final, push, and
mm-hmm.
plus also, that was also the beginning of the computer games.
Yeah,
I remember my kids got the Sims. You remember the Sims?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, stuff like that. You played online. So
Yeah, and the Gran Turismo still happening. They even have a new, I think a movie, right? They got a movie now that just came out, I believe.
oh, okay. Well,
Something
I'll
that you
wait for
might
it
be
to.
interested in.
Well, again now. I'm not even worried about it until they make it descriptive. So,
Oh no, believe me, it's descriptive. It's
but
I be catching movies in the theater that don't come out with descriptive when they come out to streaming sites. So that's why sometimes I like going to the theater when it's like not super famous movies, you know. The
right,
famous
right,
movies you
right,
catch them with the descriptive, but there's some that you just won't, you know.
right, 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 right. Well, I mean, again, but technology it
Hmm.
has come a long way, and a lot of that, like I say, before the '90s, you had entire buildings full of mainframes and stuff like that. They had that old DOS system with a black screen with green letters and stuff over it. All that other kind of crazy stuff.
And the '90s too, there was a conspiracy born about and in these chat board this chat rooms, I guess you could say, right, about a time traveler. You know, if y'all into that stuff, y'all might know who I'm talking about. But you know, some weird messages that they dropped about the future that I don't know if you read them. Hey, they kind of had something. They were talking about something. They were kind of correct on some stuff, but just something that was born in the '90s too.
Well, I mean, I agree. I mean, again, the internet opened it up to where people of like-minded stuff was able to connect, and
The
and
message
and
boards.
and go back and forth with it and discuss their whether they want to call it conspiracies or whatever. Some of this stuff was again. I say it again, even with the movies and stuff. Look at some of the stuff we see back in the movies. It actually came to
Hmm.
life. So it's kind of like the same thing. When you first started off as science fiction, some folks might call it conspiracies, whatever. But as time goes on, and it might be just that somebody had that foresight to put it out there, and
No, but
then somebody else sitting at the house says, you know what, I believe we can make that happen. And then they just go to work on doing everything they can to do
mhm.
program and code and all that stuff to make that stuff happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they see that it's possible and they do that. But this famous author, I'm blanking on his name, but he made a book about if it's called the man in the high rise castle and the tall castle or something like that, or the castle in the hill or something like that. And it's about if the Nazis would have won the war. He made another one about Earth, but that is different. Let's say like another aspect, like another reality. And what the author says that he got all these ideas from like dreams where he actually has been. He says on some way out stuff, but
Right.
those books are out there. Some famous books that people read. You know, he got all kinds of different books about different realities and stuff like that, but in fiction. But he says he's been there.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your last question.
And I said he has his own under fiction, but he says he has been to these places. Man, I'm blanking on the author's name. I was looking up something about that too. You know, but
Well, I mean, again, tech is that's something that's actually evolving a lot faster than other
mm,
things.
mm,
Especially in today's world. I mean, what you buy today may be obsolete 6 months from now. You know,
yeah, yeah. But look,
uh,
like AOL, you can't even log into AOL no more. They even told you, hey, this is going offline and all that stuff.
well,
Like,
uh, wasn't it Verizon and what they call it, Frontier? You can still get AOL. I
uh,
think some one of them providers you can still get AOL on it. I'm not sure, but
that's okay, okay.
you know, again, the only reason I say that is because with our interest group mailing list, believe it or not, there's people in there with AOL
Yeah, I
email
know
addresses.
someone. Yeah, I know someone, and she got a message that 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 email was not going to be supported no more.
Well, I remember when they weren't going to support my Yahoo anymore, but
It's
you
still
know,
going.
but Yahoo is still going. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
And Yahoo was in the 90s. Remember those commercials and stuff?
oh yeah, Yahoo.
Yeah, yeah, that was the 90s. Yeah,
Yeah.
from bokeh technology to neon colors to snapbacks and doing the Tootsie Roll, guys. That's
So
the 90s. That's what you can come and experience tomorrow with us. Still got a few seats open. Info at blindunited.org.
hey, you might even win a prize for your version of the Tootsie Roll or the Butterfly or the Running Man, the Cabbage Patch, whatever. Come on out and hang out with us, have a lot of fun, enjoy yourself, and again, fellowship with some other blind folks. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not blind and you just want to see how blind folks get down, come hang out with us, man. We have a lot of fun. We're living our best life at Blind United. So come on out, hang out with us, and on the other side of that, we are at the end of this Friday. So hopefully, again, like I said, everybody got a great weekend planned out in front of you. As far as Blind United and Coffee Time is concerned, please, always, in closing, like, subscribe, follow, share, comment, do whatever it is on whatever platform you're checking us out on. Please do it. It doesn't take much to make it happen, but it does so much for the algorithm. Sorry, we got to deal with algorithms. That's something else technology bought us, was these damn algorithms. So, you got to get into that algorithm if you want your stuff to be seen nowadays. So help us out and make sure our stuff is seen by more and more people. So on that note, everybody enjoy the rest of your Friday. And I just hope everybody has a great weekend. And for all that are going to be at the party tomorrow, hey, I'll see you there. And I look forward to everybody shaking a tail feather. Have a great Friday, and we'll talk to you on the next.